Krishna letter and press together. Jnananjanaşalakaya Chakshurumilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Namopistam Samitam Yena Bhute Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Kadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttarapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sahajanam Saharanathanditam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sadhana Lalita Shri He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindaveshwari Vishnu Sudevi Namami Hari Vanta Kalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Adiganam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Guru Vrindavan Bihari Jai 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 Shri Radhe Shyam.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Just to introduce our speaker. Prabhu's so humble. He didn't give us the opportunity to allow us to introduce him. He's so enthusiastic. He wanted to get started with the bhajans. But our speaker today is Vrindapati Prabhu. He's one of us. He's one of the pioneers that started ISKCON Crawley 28 years ago. He was one of the very first devotees. He's the reason that we have this center today. He's a man of many talents. He's a yoga teacher, astrologer, priest, author, and philanthropist. He's traveled India, various parts of India. He has many different gurus. And yeah, he's well versed in the Vedic scriptures. So I'm very fortunate, we're very fortunate to have him here today with us, because I know he has always a very busy schedule. And today the topic he's going to speak about is sustainability in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, firstly, I'd like to offer my obeisances to all the devotees here. Because, you see, it's not working?
You have to switch the TV.
Yeah. It should come on. Yeah. Can we see that?
Yeah.
Maybe we can turn some of the lights up. Maybe one of the lights. Yeah, that helps actually just. So maybe leave the middle ones on, and the ones that have the screens, that's the one we want. Yeah, that's good. Is that good?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Everybody can see the screen, right? Yeah, super. Okay, so I would like to finish this class at exactly 7:30. I also have another appointment straight after this, so I have to stick to timing. And normally, last time I gave a class, it was a festival, so that's why I pushed the boat a little bit further than I was required to. Because it was a festival, we didn't actually have a festival class, so I thought it would be good to do that. Otherwise, my timing, I'm a school teacher, I have to stick to timing, it's my job. I also have to be flexible as well with other people's requests as well. That's also my job, I'm a yoga teacher. Being flexible is part of it. Sustainability in spiritual life. Okay, this word sustainable can go in many, many different directions. So, sustainability, when we mean sustainability, means how the longevity of that can continue without it being broken over a period of time. Or it doesn't then gradually just start running into the ground and then all of a sudden you have nothing left. It means what we do now has to be sustainable for the future. We here are going to be here now. In the future we're not going to be here. But even if we're not here, there still should be a temple, there still should be a center, there should still be devotees continuing the practice, moving forward in our spiritual life. However, in order for us to be able to have a sustainable spiritual life, we're going to hone in more specifically on the personal sustainability side of things first. Because if you have healthy, happy devotees, you have a healthy, happy community. Now there are many various different aspects of what needs to be considered to be sustainable. Sustainability of personal spiritual practice, sustainability of services, sustainability of spiritual communities, environmental sustainability, practical sustainability of projects that you take on board. And I've even branched out a little bit more further, because even though you're a devotee, you still have a job to go to, that you have to work and pay bills and things. So job sustainability. Devotees have to look at sustainabilities in their material life to be able to survive and practice Krishna consciousness also. Resources sustainability. So for example, if we have like a festival here, we want to have resources here that you can reuse again maybe. Or sustainable in the sense that it's not harmful for the environment. So that's a very important part, because Prabhupada introduced simple living and high thinking. So if you're producing things and you're harming the planet, we are then not offering actually a healthy alternative to people. We're then just doing what everybody else is doing. So in order to be able to attract people to spiritual life, you have to be able to show them that this is the healthier alternative. if that's not the healthier alternative, then people are going to be like, well, what different are you to us? In order to be able to do that, the devotees need to be able to demonstrate that we are able to have a healthier alternative. But if you have extremely unhappy devotees who can't sustain their spiritual lives, or something is constantly going wrong, then we have a problem, right? We're not going to be able to attract people, the energy is not going to be there, the purity and the consciousness is not there to assist us with this. And then also identifying obstacles in spiritual practice as well. I mentioned that's something in there, but that wasn't necessarily a part of those particular objectives here. So I'm going to move through this quite quickly here because I'd like to leave adequate space for some conversation also. What kind of things could cause, I was going to throw this out to everybody, but I'm just going to give it to you because it's going to take time otherwise to do it. And I've done this so many times with other devotee communities that it kind of like boils down to one or two essential things, and we will not be able to cover every single topic about sustainability. It's a seminar on its own. We're only going to cover very few things. That means we're going to be covering sustainability in personal sustainability, and also just a few of the topics that we're going to be looking at here. But what kinds of things make people put spiritual life on the back burner, deprioritizing spiritual practice? Okay, have you heard people do that? They think, okay, I've got lots of going on in my life, you don't see them for a very long time, the chanting is going down, the reading is going down, their association is going down, everything is put on the back burner, and then after a while, you haven't seen them for a very long time. And then they may come back, they may not come back. We might lose them to the wide world again. This is also a problem, isn't it? Right? We all can see that. So did the past teachers and acharyas ever talk about these discussions and talk about these improvement plans? Well, I thought about this as well. Then I thought to myself, well, we have these get-togethers and seminars and people are talking about it. It sounds like a very modern thing that people get together and talk about, these type of questions about, well, how do you journal? How do you, maintain your spiritual life? And you give seminars on japa workshops and all of these kind of things. It sounds like more of a modern invention to us, doesn't it? Be honest, it does. You think that in the past people were probably just doing it organically, but actually it's not true. Because Srila Rupa Goswami, as you see later as we go on, does actually mention those fine points about how devotees grow in spiritual life, how to cultivate those things, and there were topics of discussion amongst the devotees at that time. So what we are doing now has been done before. People did sit together and think, how are we going to sustainably manage our Krishna consciousness practice back in the time of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan? Because it's outlined. Why would Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu give you a whole ladder of how you start from Shraddha and then move up and then you go through the stages of Anartha Nivritti, which means getting rid of all the unwanted anarthas or problems within our spiritual life, eventually leading to prema, which is love of Krishna. They give all of this because they want to demonstrate the very idea that you have a plan and some contemplative practices to help you to improve your spiritual life. Does this make sense so far, everybody? So identifying solution. What solutions are to prevent this collapse of spiritual life? So something goes wrong in your spiritual life, everything collapses. What kinds of things can be done to prevent spiritual collapse? So what are the solutions? What can be done? Problem-solving mindset. What can be done to reignite that spiritual enthusiasm? So how many of you here feel like sometimes you lose spiritual enthusiasm? Be honest. You lose enthusiasm to practice your spiritual life. Yeah? We all have that experience. It happens. What can be done to ensure that it doesn't happen again? Okay? Now, this does kind of lean into a book that I'm writing called A Faith Crisis, At the Shores of a Faith Crisis, which is a book that I'm still editing at the moment. Hopefully by the end of this year the book will be completed. But I do touch upon those themes, but it's more for those people who have really been outside of spiritual practice or who've moved really towards the edge so far that they're kind of like almost not going to come back. So it's a book more for them. But this class kind of is like, okay, you're still a devotee, you're still practicing Krishna consciousness, but we have some anarthas. Now my friend, he was giving a class at Bhaktivedanta Manor the other day, and I listened to the class. He sent it to me, and he said something very important. He said, if you are going through problems in your spiritual life, anarthas, unwanted things in your spiritual life, and you're experiencing difficulty, but you know what they are, he said that's a good thing. Because anartha nivritti is a purifying process that you have to go through to get to Krishna prema, to get to the goal of your spiritual life. If you don't go through that process, it means you haven't identified your problems. If you don't identify your problems, you can't deal with those problems. When you go through anartha nivritti, the idea is that I have anarthas, I know what my anarthas are, I can now do something about it. So that's actually a very healthy space to be in. It's not necessarily the greatest space to be in, it's not a very elevated space to be in, but it means you're on the path of spiritual practice. You have a spiritual practice that's going on. So, without delving into this kind of too drastically, we could throw this out again also, but I'm going to hone in and say there are a few things that could cause spiritual life to lose momentum. The key, the very, very first one that a lot of people lose momentum on is health. There are a lot of devotees who encounter health-related issues, and not just when they're younger, but especially as they get older. Number two is lack of proper understanding. Okay, that could be not having enough shastric knowledge or anything. They can be sticking around for a long time, but they haven't been cultivating any proper knowledge about things, and therefore they easily can fall from a spiritual practice because they don't know it properly. And then what happens, I've noticed, is those type of people are like, they leave, and then they become these rebels. And the rebellion is, I used to be a practicing person, I've done all of this, and it's not what it's made out to be. And then they give you all these theories and everything like that, which doesn't even align with the philosophy. The reason why is they spent too much time on the fence, not cultivating spiritual life, not taking anything seriously, and then it becomes like, they joined a cult and they were trying to, harm me. That's what they end up saying, things like that. I was being harmed. And I saw one devotees in the past, and they're like, they were making me chant and wear a sari every day. I was like, okay, but she then showed a clip of her chanting and everything. But ironically, she was not wearing a sari at the time, and she was making her content for the social media. And I said, well, you weren't wearing a sari when you were chanting. I'm a devotee. No, I was a devotee. So I was calling her out on all of these things. Oh, you don't know what I've been through, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, it's somewhat attention seeking. You get to a place where people come to spiritual life with many, many different agendas behind them. We have to be aware that there are many people who come to spiritual life with agendas, okay? And they may not necessarily be the great agendas for them. Personal vices, so that might be, I think on the next slide I've got what those could be. Personal vices, that could be not being able to follow the regulator principles, having a cheating propensity, lying about things, trying to con devotees. Those people don't sustainably remain Krishna conscious because they've come with that agenda that they want to try and, at one time people were joining Krishna consciousness in India. You know why? Because they thought they could come to England or the West. And then they got here, and then they were like, well, you have to wake up for Mangalarti, and then you have to chant, and then like, oh, please send me back. So the agenda was totally wrong in the first place, right? So they saw ISKCON as an avenue for doing all of these things, and then they come and then they bring problems and all sorts of things. Another one is lack of organization. You'll be surprised how many people struggle in their spiritual life just because they can't make their bed in the morning and they can't do basic things. They can't get themselves organized. They have untidy homes, everything's a mess, and they just can't get to places on time and do things properly because they haven't organized themselves. And then when everything goes wrong, they're like, oh, it's my Krishna consciousness, it's just it's holding me back. It's not your Krishna consciousness. You are not organized. You just need to get organized. If you were organized, you'd be there on time, to be able to go to the class and do all of those things because of organization. And finally, it's social dynamics as well, which are very important. Now, again, these are very, very big topics. They're not small topics. Each one you can break off into. I'm going to try and work on the first two today, and then maybe on another opportunity when I get to teach a class, we can kind of cover some of the other areas. But I would like to emphasize on the importance of health and all of those things. So, health. First question, will you be able to remember Krishna at the time of death? Because if you don't look after your health, so Maharaj Kulashekar says, Krishna to the I'm not going to do that, it's not going to take time. Okay, so he says that Vata, Pitta and Kapha is there. I'm praying to Krishna, and Srila Prabhupada used to chant the prayers of King Kulashekara, who's actually a part of the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya actually. But he said that at the time of death, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to remember you. Smaranam Kudaste. Smarana means to remember. Am I going to be even able to remember you at the time of death? My Lord Krishna, please protect my memory and my relationship with you at the time of death so I can remember you. Now, dementia is a disease that causes people to forget. And there are many things that we can do in our spiritual practice for our physical health that can prevent us from declining mentally. Mental health is a very big problem. Now, overeating sugar, for example, is one of the main causes of, known to contribute to dementia. Not sleeping on time is known to contribute to dementia. Having a very, very stressful lifestyle and things like that, all of those things. Now, I know I'm going to make a lot of you uncomfortable today when I'm talking about health, because a lot of you are going to think about, oh, I shouldn't have had that cake, I shouldn't have had those biscuits or something like that. But I'm doing it because I care, and I'm sitting on the Vyasasana, which I never normally do, because I have a little bit of background in the health side of things, so I can sit on the Vyasasana. I have some power behind this because I myself try to follow this. So when you have some experience of something, then you're qualified to sit on the Vyasasana. Otherwise, when was the last time you saw me sit on the Vyasasana? Probably never. So I thought to myself, how am I going to get these people to take me seriously? I'll sit on the Vyasasana. It's coming from the Vyasa feet to you. Okay. Overemphasizing the material body and lacking spiritual understanding can lead us to identify with the body rather than the soul. This is what most people have a problem with. A lot of people are very body conscious, aren't they? Devotees are trying to be Krishna consciousness. But without strong spiritual awareness, it's very easy to fall back into material consciousness, right? So you can start training at the gym, yes? And your body can start looking all amazing and everything, you look all very nice and everything like that, but then what do? You become material consciousness. So in order to be able to go and sustainably practice spiritual life without becoming body consciousness, but maintaining your health, you have to first become Krishna consciousness, but recognize that your body is a vehicle for the service of Krishna. And we should look after this body. Neglecting exercise and proper self-care for too long can cause the body to become weak and unhealthy. When the body suffers, our attention is often drawn to physical discomfort instead of spiritual happiness and service. Sick people, they can't do service. When you're chanting japa and you've got back pains constantly, and you can't sit on the floor for a lengthy period of time to sit and do japa, you're like, my back's hurting. How many of you feel your back hurts when you start doing japa? The reason why is because your core is very weak. Your core strength, physically your core strength is weak. When I was in China, I gave a class to the devotees there, to Chinese devotees, and they invited the Indians to come to, be in the class. And the Indian people didn't really have a community because it's China. They were coming from very far away, different towns and different places. They heard about there was a class going on, so they came. So my Chinese students, right, not my school children, but the students I was teaching in the Krishna consciousness community, all of them, including the very elderly, up to 80, 90 years old, were all sitting on the floor. The Indian people all sat on the chairs. That is the difference. They were so unhealthy, they couldn't even sit on the floor. It's looking at diet, looking at our culture. We have to be introspective. If we want to be able to be healthy as we get older, if we want to avoid dementia and all of things, we have to introspect. It's a problem. You probably know people who have had health problems and things as well. Do you want to be able to clean yourself when you go to the bathroom when you get older yourself or someone else do it? It's an important question. Do you want other people serving you, or do you want to be a servant to other people? So looking after your health is your biggest wake-up call now. It starts today, not tomorrow, not after Christmas, oh, wait for after the holiday. It's a lifestyle. Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the yogi is balanced, not only in work and recreation, but also is not starving, but is also not overeating either. We take prasadam. You see, we offer prasadam to people, but that's to attract people to Krishna consciousness. You're already attracted. Okay, now do a bit of tapasya, now learn to control your prasadam eating. You have to. Because in Ayurveda, you should eat up to 80%. Then, when you're full, you should stop eating. The problem is the prasadam is so tasty. And you think, that was nice, 80% totegi. You have your, the rest of your capacity, you just go beyond that capacity. In the Yoga Shastras, it says that those people who cannot control their tongue cannot possibly control their senses at all. So purifying with prasadam is one thing, but overeating is also another thing. Diabetes is also another thing. So even if you take away the subtle things and just focus on the practical things, that's a very important thing as well. Poor health habits increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, arthritis, poor mobility, cardiovascular disease, dementia, and other weight-related illnesses. Many of these health conditions can be prevented or even reversed through healthy lifestyle choices, while others may be permanent. Taking good care of the body helps us to remain healthy and able to sustain our spiritual practice and service. Are you all understanding me, what I'm saying here? It's a very important class. I'm saying it because I care, because people who don't care will let you get on with things without telling you that you're going in the wrong direction. People who care, as a teacher, I had a teacher who I hated. Mataji knows this as well. I had a teacher who I totally hated. I really hated her. Right? Her name is Mrs. Roberts. She's still alive. She's in her 90s. I saw her in the lockdown when I went for a walk, and I was like, oh, that's my teacher. And then I came home and I told Mataji, I said I had a conversation with her, and I told her I didn't tell her I didn't like her as a teacher. I asked her, I said, what's your secret? She goes, you have to keep walking and you have to keep learning. She said that longevity of your life is based on this. And then I came home and I told Mataji, and I said, I met this teacher, and I remember when I was younger, I didn't really like her, because she was like, I don't know why, she was very strict. Mataji told me, she goes, that teacher actually tried to help you. She was very good to you. She tried to help you. She tried to get you to learn. And when I learned that, I was in my 40s, I was in my 30s, when I learned that, my perception of my teacher completely changed. So now I have a good impression of her. She was trying to help me. I was just being a stubborn child. So I'm a teacher by nature. That's my job. I'm a Brahmana. I teach in schools. I teach my students in yoga. I teach my adult classes all over the world, wherever I go. My duty is to teach. You can hate me if you want. My job is I still have to tell the children. I have to tell my children. I'm telling you off today. Because the extent of love that has to come from, we are paradukhe dukhi, the devotees must be paradukhe dukhi. In order to be able to sustainably help the people who you love, you must educate yourself on these particular principles. It's very important. Spine-related issues, some useful ideas about getting health together. I'm only going to touch on a few because I want to move on to the education element as well. Spine-related issue, failure to stabilize control core movement increases the risk of acute short-term and chronic long-term injury to the vertebral column. The key role of the trunk muscles in providing stability to the lumbar spine is well established. Okay, so this is actually from an academic paper, okay, in year 2000. So if you strengthen your body a little bit, I'm not asking you to go all out and become the next bodybuilder, and then you have all of these things in place and you're going crazy. I'm not saying you have to do something. What that might be, you can decide, we can discuss it individually, we can make a plan for you if you like, but you have to do something about one, diet, and one, you have to move, physically have to move. Sedentary lifestyle will give you kidney stones, you increase in weight, all of those kind of things, and then cognitive decline can happen also. Cancer actually tends to be found in different areas of high fat content. You see, you can be overweight, you can still be healthy. However, even if you think you're healthy, there is still something called visceral fat, which is around the organs, that we need to get rid of, because that is actually dangerous. That can cause stroke, cardiac arrest, and all of those kind of things as well. So exercise with the correct intentions, maybe show others we can be healthy vegetarians, vegans. We shouldn't be bad examples. Resistance training, swimming, yoga, and walking often are a couple of things that you can be doing in your thing. If you minimum go for a walk regularly. Swimming is very good. You will exercise the whole body. A little bit of resistance training. You don't even have to do it at home. You don't even have to do it in the gym. You can do a lot of it at home as well. So it's very important. Okay, these are just some ideas. I'm putting it out there. You need to decide what you're going to do. You have to move. So diet. How can we improve that? Healthier prasadam. Eating healthier prasadam. There's a lot of foodies out there in our Krishna conscious community. We have a lot of devotees, and we always want to make like really rich prasadam for everybody and things like that. It's always like we want to impress devotees. My suggestion is you should do it once a week. Can you afford to have unhealthy prasadam here, but during the rest of the week, definitely no. So when I went to Norway, I went to visit a friend in Norway. I said to her that time, I said, it's like, I think it was Monday or Tuesday I arrived there in Norway. And I said, Mara, can we get some snacks, like some biscuits or something like that? I feel like I want to have something like that. She said, okay, I'll take you to the supermarket. So we went to the supermarket. And she took me to the place where the biscuits were, and I said, well, where are the biscuits? She goes, it's here, one shelf. In their supermarket, one shelf. Now I said, okay, so we got some biscuits and everything, come back. And then I said to her, are you sure you went to the supermarket and not just like some local store? She goes, no, that was the supermarket. She says, here in Norway, everybody eats healthy. They don't eat biscuits and chocolates and sweets or anything until the weekend. And during the week, if you look out the window, at any time of the day, you definitely see about 8 different people are exercising. They will be doing something for the improvement of their health. Now, they're very body consciousness. Okay? I'm not asking you to fully go to the extent that you're going to become body consciousness. But your body is an instrument for the service of Krishna. It's a temple. Every day you bathe it, you put tilak on 12 parts of your body. Some of you have sikha, you tie it. There's a flag on top of the temple. If that's not healthy, then how are you going to remain consciousness of Krishna consciousness? Reduce sugar. Well, think about how many aisles there are. So we've got 2 aisles for confectionery in the UK. We have all of that version, cake aisle, 1 whole aisle for cakes, 1 aisle for ice cream. Then all of those sweet things come in a tin form as well. Then you have 2 aisles for drinks. Alcohol is 2 aisles. Then you have sugary drinks in sugary form. Then you have biscuits. Then you have savory sweets. Then an aisle for crisps. That's half of your supermarket is encouraging you to be an unhealthy person in the UK. In comparison to Norway, they had 1 shelf. That shows that the culture that we have is cultivating you to become an unhealthy person, unfortunately. And in India, where it was somebody's birthday or Janmashtami, I tell you in Punjab how they celebrate Janmashtami. At home, they say, what's today? Oh, it's Janmashtami today. What should we do? We should celebrate. I'll make kheer. That's it, that's Janmashtami. And they do kirtan, they do bhajan, they light 1 lamp, they light incense, that's what they do normally, and they sing bhajans, and they might go to the mandir. But that day they make kheer. But now, it's very easily available. They make every day some sweet is made, or something is made. You go to the mandir, you only get a small portion and you eat it. But if it was somebody's birthday or something, then we had sugary foods. You didn't have it on a daily basis. And people moved a lot more at that time as well, so we have to be careful, consistent with that. Nutrient dense, eating a variety, varied foods that are nutritionally dense, that's very important. We have to increase hydration. Many devotees, Mataji you included, do not drink enough water. Okay, increasing hydration prevents stroke. It is fact that if you increase your hydration, you are going to prevent stroke, fatigue. It maintains joints as well. People say, oh, you have to take quite here's everybody's drinking water now. Cheers, everybody. Your joints are hydrated with water intake. Actually, the oils that we are taking are not necessarily the things that are lubricating your joint. It's actually taking increased hydration that actually increases good joints. If you have poor joints, there's a build-up of, and also it builds bacteria inside your stomach as well. So, for example, candida builds inside your stomach when you don't drink enough water, and if you don't drink enough water and candida develops, you develop allergies. So one of the ways to get rid of allergies is actually reducing the bad bacteria inside the stomach, and one of the good ways to do that is to increase your hydration, right? Because it dilutes all of that and flushes out your kidneys as well. Control the tongue, people. It helps us to control I'm preaching to myself here as well. Tasty prasadam is a preaching tool, but as you advance, you learn to do better, okay? Vitamins and minerals that you need them. Vitamin D is important, so you can all supplement on vitamin D because that helps you with osteoporosis and things like that. Those people who are feeling like they're tired all the time, Asian people in general, we do not get enough sunlight. You, as people, must be taking vitamin D, okay? That is something you should have as a supplement on a daily basis. Magnesium is very good for muscle recovery. So those people who get cramps, those people who feel tingling sensation and things like that inside the body, magnesium. Vitamin B, sorry I didn't mention it in here, but vitamin B is also essential for protecting your neurological pathways. Your nervous system is protected by vitamin B. All this nasto that you guys Gujaratis are having, right? That it's actually been told to strip out vitamin B from the gut lining. So anything that's made from high flour content that you're eating, all of these fried things that you're eating, it actually strips out vitamin B. There was some study that I remember reading about that. So you should avoid that whole thing as much as possible. Eat healthier meals. Essentially, I'm asking you to follow a diet, and then just by following those things, you're going to come very close to Ayurveda anyway. Because it's a part of the life. Yeah, Haribol. Now, omega oils are very important. So from vegan sources, they're shown to be very healthy for the brain. And protein, yes, we do need protein. And yes, you can source it from a plant-based diet. But you need to cut out snacking, fried food. Sorry, but also, I'm not sorry. Okay? Now, Srila Prabhupada said, health is number 1, chanting is number 2, service is number 3, and then comes reading. If health is number 1, Srila Prabhupada has given you, then you should make health number 1. In order to be sustainable, happy, healthy devotees. You have to, honestly. Now, let me give you the example of Srila Prabhupada. When Prabhupada was sick, his doctor advised him that you should exercise regularly. But he was in his 80s, 70s, 80s. So the exercise that was suitable for him was going on walks. So Srila Prabhupada said, okay, I'll go on walks. So after Srila Prabhupada did his morning translation, he used to go in the morning, japa walk with his devotees, because his doctor told him to do that. Srila Prabhupada also then, they told him to have massage as well for the health conditions and things that he had, so he was incorporating that. So it wasn't that Srila Prabhupada wasn't doing anything for his health, he was. The thing is that we have forgotten, because we've been drilling it into devotees, and this is all the generation before you as well, that we were telling devotees, oh, you're not the body, you're in Maya, blah, blah, blah. But now devotees are increasingly recognizing that we have to be doing things for our health. This is very, very important. So we're going to move on to the next topic, and I'm going to quickly skip through the different points in this as well. But it's up for discussion. It's really food for thought. It's really to try and help you to cultivate that. Is there any questions on the diet and the food and all of that stuff first? Yeah.
How can we incorporate more protein into our diet? Because when it's like, oh, have more lentils, but it's like more carbs than protein.
Correct.
Then it's like, have paneer, but it's more fat than protein. Then it's like, have tofu, but it's more processed than protein.
No, tofu isn't, well, it is processed, but then any lentils and grains that you have has to be processed for them to be digestible for a start. You can't eat raw mung beans, for example, or even dal and things like that. And yes, it does have a high carbohydrate, but it's a bit of a myth to say that you can't have carbohydrates. You need to have carbohydrates to be able to function. So recently I saw on social media that people are like, oh, devotees are eating carbohydrates, they're eating like all of these, things. But you know what it is? You need those carbohydrates to be able to burn. There's a certain calorie intake that you have to have in order to survive on a daily basis. Now, roughly speaking, depending on the size and the height of the people here, we're talking about between 1,500 to 2,000 calories per person, depending on whether you're male or females. Women actually tend to need less calories according to that thing. But then, again, it's not generalized. It's based on height, it's based on all of those things. There's so many things that you need to recognize as a part of how many calories you can have. Now, carbohydrates are important to have, otherwise you're going to feel tired. But you know what we can do to help manage the calorie intake? You see, as soon as you start taking sugars, things like biscuits and cakes and things like that, and you add that on top of the Indian diet, that's the worst. You see, dals, lentils, rice even, there's also high in carbohydrates and things like that. As soon as you start moving more, you're going to be feeling better. I'm eating dal, rice, and tofu and things like that. I'm a bodybuilder. Bodybuilder in the sense that I don't bodybuild to the extent that how big bodybuilders are, but I do train people, I teach people how to be healthy. It's my work. So I've lived all this time on eating dal, rice, sabji, and all of those kind of things. But you have to check and see, okay, well, what's the protein value inside my food? Am I just eating aloo paratha? And I complain to my family all the time. I'm like, aloo parathas are tasty, but there's no protein in this. There needs to be protein inside this. So health is a very, very important factor, for us to do that. Just try to start cutting out the things that actually do some tapasya. Control the tongue. Don't eat too much sugar. Stop it. Just don't eat. Only eat on special occasions. It's a festival. Make sweets. You have to cook for the deities? Yeah, you make sweets. Take small amount, distribute the rest. Small is okay. Sitting there every week, you're going out, every week, every day you're thinking, we've eaten now, what's for dessert? Sorry, that is not a sustainable spiritual. You're not going to be healthy. You're going to start having problems in your life. Your joints are going to start hurting. You're not going to be able to do any service, and that's not great either. Anyway, we can go on and talk about those things, but I feel it's like a very important part of Krishna consciousness, isn't the only thing, yeah.
Omega-3, can I get that from flaxseed oil?
Yeah, omega oils, you can get algae oil, and you can get flaxseed oil, and that's a very good source of omega oils. I do not recommend it. We do not eat meat, fish, or eggs, so we don't take any fish oils at all. But interestingly, the fish take it from the algae, and therefore they become oils of the fish. So if you directly have algae oil, it's plant-based, so you can take plant-based oils and things like that. So that's very good for cognitive memory. And flax seeds and flax oil is fine to do that. It does generate heat inside the body. Even taking a vitamin B tablet can generate heat inside the body in Ayurveda. That's why flax seeds are eaten in the winter time as well in Ayurvedic diet. Sesame seeds are also eaten in that time, but sesame is also full of calcium as well. Even some dry fruits, for example, like apricots and things like that, have value as well. Henna, could you read? Yeah? Yeah. So, let's move on to the next topic, because we've still got good timing, so really great. Yeah? Yeah? Akarshini? She's the boss, I'm scared of her. Right? She manages my time machine. Okay, on the rice programs. Faith is strong with proper knowledge. Okay, so health was one topic that we want to do. The next element is going to be proper education. Now, I'm an adjudicator of many different subjects around, in different schools and different things. So I'm passionate about this topic. It's very important for me. Now, okay. Before I move on to the education, develop core strength. Do exercises that strengthen your core. When I was in Vrindavan, they have a japa period and everybody sits and they sit Tulsi Maharani's there and everybody's like really enthusiastic, they start. So I started chanting japa, and then within a few minutes, I noticed that all the devotees started moving away from Tulsi Maharani, and I was like, why are the devotees moving away? We've only been sitting here for less than 10 minutes and everybody's moved already, because they all needed to sit against the white marble walls inside the Krishna Balaram temple. I was the only person sitting for japa there in the temple with Tulsi Maharani in the middle, because nobody's got good core strength. And I see even like, there's a lot of Indians that moved to this Pembroke Park area, and I notice them how they're walking when they're walking down. Because I notice people's health, just generally speaking. I look and I can see, how they're walking, what the posture is, because I do teach yoga, so I can see people's alignment. And their arches are all fallen in, and and I notice Indians walk like this, out like this. Not like this, they're not walking, they're like this walking. And the whole posture is terrible. And they all go to pujas to go and eat sweets. So it's like, I'm like really worried about them. I'm like, oh my God, Krishna, please give me something. Dadami buddhi yogam tam, what's going on here? Okay. So, Monday class I teach yoga. Monday night, 7 p.m. here as well. In Gaudiya Vaishnava context, education is not simply the acquisition of information, it's the mean of cultivating right understanding, sambandha jnana, right practice, abhideya, and ultimately pure love of God, prayojana. A sustainable spiritual life depends on knowledge that can be continually applied, reflected upon, and deepened. Okay, a sustainable spiritual life is often understood as the integration of 4 things. One is knowledge, study and understanding, practice, chanting, worship and service, reflection, self-examination and application, and community, learning with and from others. When these elements reinforce one another, spiritual life becomes less dependent on external circumstances and more deeply rooted in conviction and lived experience. Education is integral to a sustainable spiritual life because it cultivates informed faith, deepens understanding of sacred teachings, develops discernment and character, and equips practitioners to maintain and transmit their spiritual tradition throughout their lives. This Gaudiya Vaishnava emphasis that genuine knowledge, jnana, should be supported and enriched devotion, bhakti, rather than exist as an end in itself. So you need to have proper knowledge, proper practice, some reflection, and community is very important. Association is very important. It's one of the key fundamental principles that I've mentioned here. So, number one, it provides a firm philosophical foundation. Without understanding why one practices spiritual life, spiritual life can become dependent on emotion, social belonging, or routine. So a lot of devotees new people are in this category. It's emotion, social belonging, and routine. And then education helps practitioners to understand the nature of the soul, the jiva, the nature of God, Krishna. Okay, so that's, and then karma, bhakti, and the purpose of sadhana. A solid philosophical foundation makes practice more resilient during periods of doubt or difficulty. Number 2, it develops discrimination, viveka. Education enables practitioners to distinguish between essential principles and cultural customs. So as Hindus here, there are a lot of people who get confused about what is a social custom and what is actually essential principles of Krishna consciousness. Like, for example, when you're new to Krishna consciousness as a Gujarati, for example, you might come here and think, oh, well, these people must do Garba as well, right? But you come here and then you think, okay, now that's more of a custom that we have as a cultural thing. It's not integral to our spiritual practice. It's a difference between them. So authentic teachings and speculation, you know the difference between those things. Humility and self-deprecation, really important. How many devotees you turn around and they just think, oh, I'm useless, I can't do this, oh Prabhu, I can't cook, I don't even know how I drove here. You know, like all these kind of things. You know, this is called self-deprecation. It's not an actual expression of proper humility. Proper humility means somebody says to you, can you drive? You're not going to turn around and say, oh Prabhu, I'm not a good driver. I don't know how Krishna gave me the intelligence. You know, that is just silly. If you're going to drive, you're going to be honest. Yeah, I can drive. There's nothing artificial about that. You're not artificially cultivating something. You're telling the truth. I can drive. Yes, you can drive. Okay, super. That's what we want to know. So there's a difference between self-deprecation and driving. And, speculation. So authentic teachings, and then humility, self-deprecation, genuine spiritual practice, and emotional excitement. When people come to Krishna consciousness, a lot of them just sit back and they think, you know what, I like this tune. Oh, Vrindapati, he sings okay. And they don't, themselves, they're not singing, but they're enjoying the singing. Very nice.
Are you talking about me?
If you, Prabhu, are reflecting and you feel that that's your I'm your servant. Okay? So emotional excitement is one thing, but actually you recognize that you have to give your own Shakti to your practices. This is a yajna. Harinam is a yajna. You have to contribute to it. In order for your Ananda to grow inside you, you have to contribute to the yajna yourself. So this is discernment helps avoid misunderstandings and also helps support steady progress. So this is a lot, and I'm coming to the last 10 minutes of the presentation, so I want to try and get through as much as I can. It supports transformation and not just information. So in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, learning is meant to change character. Study of scripture actually encourages the qualities of humility, compassion, self-discipline, truthfulness, gratitude, and knowledge is not reflected. A knowledge that is not reflected in conduct is considered incomplete, right? Then, number 4, it helps identify and overcome anartha's really important point. It sustains lifelong growth. As discussed in texts such as Madhurya Kadambini, okay, which talks about the Bhakti Lata Bij and how it grows, education enables practitioners to recognize unwanted habits, subtle motivations, and offenses that may hinder spiritual progress. Awareness is the first step towards purification. So this is why I said to you, when you're going through anartha and everything, you recognize your problems, that's awareness. Spiritual development is an ongoing process. So continuous study encourages reflection, questioning, a deeper appreciation of scripture, adaptation to new life, circumstances while remaining faithful to core principles. And this lifelong learning helps to prevent stagnation as well. So if you're feeling stagnant in your spiritual life, are you actually deeply studying something, or are you surface level studying something? That is your determining factor. If you're studying Shastra deeply and having that's proper association. Association isn't like, okay, Prabhu, come round, chalo, apne banne ice cream, and then we just gossip about this person, that person, right? It's about really cultivating and having deep association, which means discussing Shastra, putting Krishna in the center of that relationship and making it a really worthwhile thing. So education equips the practitioners to serve others. Education enables devotees to teach responsibility, answer questions thoughtfully, and support others in their spiritual journey. So that becomes teaching. Sharing knowledge is regarded the form of service when done with humility and fidelity to the scriptures. So personal vices, anarthas, simplified, okay, not endeavoring to make personal progress, taking initiation, or improving sadhana. So there's lots of devotees who just like sit on the back and they like, I ask them, are you going to come to class? And they're like, yeah, we're going to come to class. Are they in the class? No, not in the class. Are they planning to take initiation? Probably not. Do you endeavor to make personal progress? No, I come here and do it. It's just routine, isn't it, for a lot of people? You have to improve your sadhana. We are always in state of refinement. A devotee is always in state of refinement, thinking, how can I improve myself? How can I serve Krishna more? How can I serve the devotees more? How can I become dear to Krishna? How can I act in a way that Krishna sees me in being that person who's eligible for enlightenment, eligible for going back to Godhead? So they have a no-service attitude. They're not able to follow the regulative principles. This is usually a struggle. When I mean struggle, people have struggle, that's an anartha. But then there's people who are just like, no, I'll just carry on not following the 4 regulative principles because nobody knows about it. It's a kind of like an attitude, more than, if you have a desire to improve, you're going to see that you have a problem and you will work towards it and it will eventually become better. But if you're not doing anything about the cultivation and you're just being comfortable with it, you're really in a dangerous situation. Okay? Maintaining bad association with people who gossip, have bad agenda, to bring down devotees rather than respect them, be envious of devotees. There are a lot of people who are thinking, I should be sitting on the Vyasas. Why is he in CWG? Why should I should be? I should be like this. I should be like, people should put a garland around my neck. Right? This is also a very dangerous situation to have. Right? It's an enviousness of devotees, especially some devotees, not even spiritual practice they're envious of. If a devotee is doing materially very well, they have a lot of Lakshmi, they've got a big house. I've seen this amongst devotees. They think, yeah, I've got to do that. That's the bar of being a spiritual devotee. Being a devotee in ISKCON is going to be that we've got to be really wealthy people and have all these big things. It's not. It's not about that. You may become successful materially. We hope you do become successful materially. But then it's also dangerous. Because what does Krishna says? Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam vajadagishikame mama janmani janmarasya bhavata bhakti vaitaki. So maintaining worldly attachments to the extent of making them more important than Krishna is a really big problem that a lot of devotees have, because they don't take the next step of putting Krishna as the priority. When Krishna is the priority, you're practicing Krishna consciousness. If it's just a club that you joined and you're going to, you're not going to make spiritual growth because you haven't prioritized your spiritual life, which is the most important thing that is being taught here. So, translation, in the beginning there's faith, then association with devotees. So here, Rupa Goswami actually explains this, what I'm talking about. In the beginning there's faith, then association with devotee. Then devotion and practice. Thereafter comes the removal of unwanted habits, anartha nivritti. Then steadiness comes, taste, attachment, ecstasy, and finally pure love. What are anarthas? In Gaudiya Vaishnavism, anarthas, Sanskrit anarthas, unwanted things or obstacles that cover the soul's natural love for Krishna. They are habits, misconceptions, desires, and conditioning that impede spiritual progress. A key teaching that bhakti gradually removes these anartha through the stage called anartha nivritti, cessation of unwanted habits, which follows bhajana kriya, regular devotional practice. So there are four main categories. I'm not going to go over the four main categories now, but they are arising from past sinful actions, arising from offences, arising from pious actions, arising even from pious actions, so desire for heaven, materially prosperity, seeking rewards rather than pure devotion, and then arising in the course of devotional practice itself, which means pride in devotion, desire for recognition, sectarianism, attachment to prestige, followers or position, and spiritual materialism. This is a useful class for everybody. But be honest, you can you know me as a devotee. Okay. So then I mentioned, okay, I'm not going to go over this, but we already know that there are 6 major enemies of the mind, last time greed, delusion, etc. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also then gives the analogy of a creeper of devotion, and the weeds can be identified as desire for wealth. That doesn't mean you can't be wealthy. You can have wealth. But then, atyahara prayasascha, overly engaging in that is really very, very dangerous, because you're deprioritizing Krishna to become wealthy. Do you see what I'm saying? Or you're asking Krishna only to make you wealthy, but not because you want to nourish your relationship with Krishna. So desire for fame, okay, for followers, the desire for mystic powers. Okay, so this means that you're only practicing Krishna consciousness for mystic powers. That doesn't mean that you don't. Some people have mystic powers, they do. I know. Okay, hypocrisy, desire for worship or admiration, desire for liberation instead of loving service. These are the weeds of Krishna consciousness. And here we have the Bhakti Lata Bija, which I've spoken about many times inside the past. And then I wanted to talk about something here. Is it overwhelming? Top tip. Gaudiya teachers emphasize anartha nivritti as a gradual rather than an instantaneous. Even advanced practitioners continue refining themselves, especially by avoiding offences and cultivating humility, sincere chanting and service. It's a lifelong project. It's not something that you're going to do overnight. It's not something that you have to beat yourself up over. Now, this is lack of organisation, so it brings me to the end of the education element, but I have to show you something very quickly on here before I finish the talk. And while you watch this, I'm going to quickly go to the bathroom really quickly, because I was drinking, I was hydrating water. Okay, so just please watch this. Can you hear it? Is this sound?
Because it's like, this is a real connection.
Can you hear that?
I just wanted to represent the connection between the two of us. I'm going to ask questions throughout this. Don't think about what the right answer is. Just go with what your gut instinct of how it feels. Hey, Stephen, how's it going?
It's good, good. Yeah.
Yeah? What was something that frustrated you yesterday? Tell me about it. Do you find that some of the biggest struggles you had yesterday was mostly with business or personal, or tell me something with business?
Struggles with business, yes.
But go ahead.
I can see you're fine.
And what did you feel in the line?
I felt like the time was went to my ears.
Yeah, on Slack, right? But that's the physical. What's emotionally out of that?
It felt disrespectful.
Yeah. Now, let's put it Todd again, and I'm talking to you. And I say, so what are you looking forward to this week?
I'm looking forward to.
No, go ahead. This is me just trying. It's still tight. Don't worry. I still am connected to you. But don't worry about it. I'm right here. Go ahead. Yeah. Exactly. You see how all of a sudden you wanted to let go now.
Yeah.
Somebody gets on theirs, you don't want to look awkward or odd to look. You want to get out yours. The next thing you know, both of you are on your phones at dinner. You're supposed to be communicating with each other, and you're just staring at your phone. Let's say you and I were having lunch, and I'm talking like this to you, and I put my phone right here. Do you feel it different?
Yeah.
Do you feel I'm more connected or less connected?
Less connected.
Yeah, and if I,
It's the priorities. The priority.
do you feel any different if I flip it over?
Yes, I do.
And my face it's down
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That's a signal.
of,
But you think this is more important, you don't want to be distracted.
imagine, what would you feel like if you just said, hey, where's your phone? You said, oh, I just left it in the car. This one. So,
Yes, incredible.
does anybody do that?
No.
No, nobody does that. But if I have it here, even if I put it face down on the table and I'm talking to you, I'm at least still having my world, my business, my stress, my chaos. It's my pacifier. It's still there in the conversation with us. So even if I put it down, or I put it between my legs, or I put it in my pocket, which is, I think is much better of not letting it come out at all. What's the strength of the connection? Because we've all been that person, like we just showed the string, where they get out their phone while you're talking, and like, yeah, right, go ahead. And you go, I don't want this. You let go, because it's like, this isn't real connection. So if you want to be a better communicator, you have to understand the definition of true connection. It's keeping it taut. Like, yeah.
Okay. Any reflections on that? Anybody wanna talk about that? On what we just saw? That clip? Any
This, the last
any
video,
reflections? Yeah.
the last video, like, when we are doing chanting,
Yeah.
maximum of sometimes we'll move the mobile,
Yeah.
we'll walk and we think about something else. So there's no connection at all.
There's no connection. You're ignoring Krishna. Exactly. You know, you've exactly read my mind. Because I showed my students this, my year 6 in school. And I was like, you know when you guys are making noise and I'm trying to talk to you, you lose connection, so I want to show you something. So I gave them all the string, we actually held the string. And then when people were making a noise and I had to turn around and tell people to be quiet and I got distracted, the person could feel the string go. And they were like, oh. And I was like, how did you feel? They said, your attention from me went completely. I said, how do you think I feel when your attention goes from me directly as your teacher? And they're like, you must feel really sad that we're not listening to you as a teacher, as a student. So I said, I feel really like, worried that my student is not listening to me and is not, taking on that word. And you know what, I came home and then I nearly burst into tears because I thought, you know what, every single day I'm holding a connection with Krishna in my Japamala. Every single day. This is the connection that I'm trying to build with Krishna. And devotees are driving, and devotees are on the mobile phone, and we're sending an email while chanting japa, and then we're watching TV while we're doing japa, and we're like, Haribol Prabhu, I've got to work, or I've got to spend time trying to get your rounds done, or you're just walking around watching people eating prasadam and doing japa, or you're doing something, your japa is not tight. Your japa is not tight. How can you expect Krishna, that connection you're trying to cultivate every single day, if you don't sit down and chant every single day with concentration, with love inside your heart? Now it's hard because you do it every single day and you're distracted in meditation. So actually Krishna says inside the Bhagavad Gita, he actually teaches how people should meditate. He said your seat should be nice and you should be, your core should be strong, your body should be upright. Our devotees can't even sit, right? And there's too much distraction. We're watching Rahu. On the TV is Rahu. This side of the world is Rahu. That's a demon, pretending to be God. Even if you're like, now okay, you put some spiritual music on in the background, or you have something going on that helps you to deepen your connection with Krishna. But majority of devotees can practice for 30, 40 years. And they do not get any they don't get any miracles happening in their life with their chanting. They can be experienced devotees. You can come and sit here like I am giving a class to everybody, but you're not experiencing actually anything deeply profound until you've actually started to do japa seriously. Mantra japa means connection with God. From mantra japa, they have when I was in India, I was traveling around I lived like a sadhu, and some of you know me by that time. I used to wear wooden coat shoes. I used to live about 15 years, and I was just walking around. And used to go to the Himalayas, every summer and any holidays. And I used to be in India, going traveling different places. And I used to be one of those people. I used to think, okay, these people are doing mantras and stuff like that. And I thought, well, when am I going to develop some kind of? I just need some proof, right? I'm not looking for spiritual powers as such, right? But I was saying, okay, well, when am I going to do? They said to me, just lage raho, which means in Sanskrit it says japetvam siddhi, japetvam siddhi, japetvam siddhi. Continue chanting, and then the perfection has to come. Now, if you're chanting and you're not moving from the anartha nivritti stage, you're still stuck there, something is wrong after several years of practice. That means either there's something wrong with the process, or there's something wrong with you. Majority of the time it's going to be us. So seriously taking your spiritual life means that you're cultivating, just to conclude here, your spiritual practice, becoming physically healthy, starting to remove all of those obstacles that are preventing you from becoming Krishna consciousness. And that might start with physical health. Then it might start with proper understanding. Now, a lot of people have this enviousness attitude as well, that they don't want to take shiksha from somebody because, it's somebody from Korea, why am I going to don't develop familiarity with devotees. There are devotees who've experienced more experience than you, read more than you, understood more than you. And even young people. Parikshit Maharaj was only Sukadeva Goswami was only 16 years old when he instructed Parikshit Maharaj, who was a total king. Oh, quickly, before I do this, one second, very quickly, everybody. Where did it go? Did I have it on here? Maybe I sent it to one of my friends. Who did I send it to? I sent it to... I sent it to this devotee. We have this mantra, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanhitaya Cha Jagatithaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. Right? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, I think it's 1057. Srimad Bhagavatam. 1057. Krishnaya Vasa Devaya. Quickly show you, just really quickly show you this 1057 if I can get it. Here it is. No, it's not that one. Hold on, sorry, I've got it written here. 1073. 1073:16. Okay, so let me go back here. Srimad Bhagavatam. And then what was it?
73, 16.
73, 16.
16.
There you go. If you struggle to learn a mantra, I teach this to my students at school as well. This is one mantra you should learn. I'm going over time now, so this is the last thing. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranata Klesha Nashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Everybody together. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranata Klesha Nashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So, Namo Brahmanya Devaya talks about the cows and the Brahmanas, and then I thought to myself, well, what about everybody else? This mantra is actually was spoken by Kshatriyas to Lord Krishna, and particularly when he was saving them from Jarasandha. So they actually chanted this prayer. It's there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So you can learn this one. If you don't know any mantras or anything from the Srimad Bhagavatam, you should learn this one. It's really nice. Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Hare Paramatmane
Hare Paramatmane
Pranata Klesha Nashaya
Pranata Klesha Nashaya
Govindaya Namo Namaha
Govindaya Namo Namaha
Again and again we offer our obeisances to Lord Krishna, Hari, the son of Vasudeva, the Supreme Soul, Govinda, vanquishes the suffering for all who surrender to him. And I'm going to stop talking, but I'd like you to just quickly, before we go, listen to the mantra, close your eyes for a moment, and just listen to the mantra, deeply take it inside you so that you know this mantra for yourself, and do it as a meditation. It helps you to remove your anarthas inside your life. Anartha nivritti. Klesha nashana. It's klesha nashana. Okay, close your eyes. Can we turn the lights off, please? When you're ready, you can chant with it as well, together. Last time, everybody. Okay, can we have the lights on, please? Firstly, I appreciate that this was a very sensitive class. It's a very important topic. I offer my obeisances to you. Please forgive me if I've offended any of the devotees here in this class and otherwise. I don't mean to offend you. I just want to awaken you so that we can have a sustainable spiritual practice. Okay? So if you have any questions, or you want to tell me off about something, or you want to tell me how you hate me now, we can talk about it afterwards. But I beg you to continue practicing. It's an enlivening spiritual practice. It's deep, it's contemplative, it's meditative, and it's really real. Real things will happen if you chant very sincerely. Now, you've spoken about this in other japa workshops and everything, but there might be a few things we need to do to help us to get to that place. Okay? And that might be improved health, etc., and knowledge base as well. So, namaskaram and thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such an enlightening